Good afternoon. My name is Liz Liddell, and I work for the U.S. Department of Transportation, Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. I would like to welcome you to the DOT's presentation on the safety notice on transporting COVID-19 diagnostic samples. This presentation was put together to reinforce the regulatory requirements of shipping Category B infectious substances as outlined in the safety notice that was issued on June 19th of 2020. If you do not already have a copy of the safety notice, I would like to let you know that I have added a copy of that document to the attendee chat so that you can save for future reference. The safety advisory notice we are discussing today is intended only to provide clarity to the public regarding existing hazardous material regulation requirements. The contents of this notice do not have the force and effect of law, nor do they introduce new requirements binding the public in any way. This presentation should not be used as a substitute for the hazardous material regulation to determine compliance. We cannot express enough how we appreciate the work that you are doing to meet your community needs. We are also very committed and focused to keeping you and your community safe during this time. I would like to encourage you to reach out to PHMSA with any issues or questions that you may have. PHMSA continues to always focus on the safe transportation of hazardous materials being transported in commerce. We're going to start off today by talking through how to apply the information found in the safety notice. We will explore the regulation applicability related to packaging, transportation, markings, emergency response information, and closure instructions. We will also go over the channels for you to reach out to PHMSA for questions and assistance moving forward. Here is a listing of the materials that we will be using during this learning session. I have placed the direct links again to all three documents in the attendee chat for your convenience. On your left, we have the 6/19/2020 Safety Advisory Notice for the transportation of COVID-19 diagnostic samples. In the center is the poster we developed to help you share this information with your employees and/or your employer. And lastly is our brochure titled Transporting Infectious Substances Safely for those of you who may want a little more expanded information than what we are covering here today. The U.S. Department of Transportation, Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration plays a leading role in ensuring the safe transportation of hazardous materials in commerce throughout the United States. Because of the ongoing coronavirus COVID-19 public health emergency, there have been shipments of COVID-19 diagnostic samples, examples of nasal swabs, vials of sputum, and other related items that are classified as a Category B infectious substance, which is Division 6.2, hazardous material, under the Hazardous Material Regulations. Investigators from PHMSA's Office of Hazardous Material Safety, OHMS, recently conducted compliance inspections and found several instances of improperly marked or packaged diagnostic samples that were offered for transportation, which included sample vials packaged without rigid outer packagings. In response, PHMSA has developed this safety advisory notice to provide information on the hazardous material regulation related to offering and transporting these materials. For those of you who may have joined later, a copy of the safety advisory notice has been placed in the attendee chat for your convenience of viewing. Based on information we received from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and the World Health Organization, WHO, It's our understanding that human and animal specimen samples that are used to test for severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID-19, should be classed and described as UN 3373, biological substance, Category B, 6.2, just as you see here. A Category B infectious substance is a material known or reasonably expected to contain a pathogen not in a form generally capable of causing permanent disability or life-threatening or fatal disease in otherwise healthy humans or animals when exposure occurs to it. To ensure their safe transportation, SARS-CoV-2 diagnostic samples must be packaged and offered for transportation in conformity with the applicable requirements in the Hazardous Material Regulation for Category B infectious substances. The packaging requirements for Category B infectious substances are prescribed in 173.199 of the Hazardous Material Regulation. Under this section, Category B infectious substances must be properly triple packaged, which means the diagnostic sample is first placed in a primary receptacle that is leak-proof for liquids or sift-proof for solids. The primary receptacle is then placed in a secondary leak-proof or sift-proof packaging. The secondary packaging is then placed in a rigid outer packaging. If several fragile primary receptacles are placed in the secondary package, they must be wrapped or separated to prevent contact between them. Secondary packages such as a biohazard bag, or you may be more familiar with a specimen transport bag, must be secured and cushioned as needed. For liquid Category B infectious substances, there must be absorbent material placed between the primary receptacle and the secondary package that is of sufficient quantity to absorb the total amount of liquid and not compromise the integrity of the cushioning material or outer packaging should the primary receptacle leak or break. For solid Category B infectious substances, the primary and secondary receptacles must be sift-proof. If residual liquid may be present within the primary receptacle for a solid, or the solid may become liquid in transportation, the solid sample must be transported in conformance with 173.199b, the requirements for a liquid Category B material. The complete package must also be capable of passing a drop test specified in 178.609d of the Hazardous Material Regulation at a drop height of at least 1.2 meters or 3.9 feet. Following the test, there must be no leakage from the primary receptacle, which must remain protected by the absorbent material when required in the secondary packaging. If the package is offered for transport by aircraft and the Category B infectious substance is liquid, the primary receptacle or the secondary packaging must be capable of preventing leaks by withstanding an internal pressure of not less than 95 kPa. If a liquid Category B infectious substance is shipped by aircraft, the maximum quantity contained in each primary receptacle, including any material used to stabilize or prevent degradation of the sample, may not exceed 1 liter 34 ounces, and the maximum quantity contained in each outer packaging, including any material used to stabilize or prevent degradation of the samples, may not exceed 4 liters or 1 gallon. If a solid Category B infectious substance remains solid and is shipped by aircraft, the maximum quantity contained in each outer packaging, including any material used to stabilize or prevent degradation of the samples, but not including body parts, organs, or whole bodies, may not exceed 4 kilograms, 8.8 pounds. However, the outer packaging maximum quantity limit does not apply to ice, dry ice, or liquid nitrogen when these materials are used to maintain the integrity of the liquid or solid samples. At least one side of the rigid outer packaging, usually a non-specification fiberboard box, must have a minimum dimension of 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters. The package may not contain other hazardous material except refrigerants such as dry ice or liquid nitrogen as authorized under 173-199D. Anticoagulants used to stabilize blood or plasma, or small quantities of Class 3, Class 8, Class 9, or other materials in packing groups 2 and 3 used to stabilize or prevent degradation of the sample, provided the quantity of such materials does not exceed 30 milliliters, or 30 grams in each inner packaging. Such preservatives are not subject to the requirements of the Hazardous Material Regulation. The square on point mark must be displayed on the outer surface of the rigid outer packaging on a background of contrasting color. The width of the line forming the border must be at least 2 millimeters wide, and the letters and numbers must be at least 6 millimeters high. The size of the mark must be such that no side of the diamond is less than 50 millimeters in length as measured from the outside of the lines forming the border. For domestic transportation, a packaging marked prior to January 1st of 2017 and in conformance with the requirements of 173-199A5 in effect on December 31st of 2014 may continue in service until the end of its useful life. The proper shipping name, Biological Substances Category B, must also be marked on the surface of the outer packaging adjacent to the diamond-shaped mark in letters that are at least 6 millimeters high. The package must also contain emergency contact information, either displayed on a written document such as an air waybill or a bill of lading, or on the outer packaging. I'd like to point out that the Category B infectious substance that conforms to 173-199 is not required to have a shipping paper. Just to clarify, the emergency response information must be displayed on the outer packaging, if not on a bill of lading, and this would need to be reproduced on any overpack. This emergency contact information must include the name and telephone number of the person who is either knowledgeable about the material being shipped and has comprehensive emergency response and incident mitigation information for the material, or has immediate access to a person who possesses such knowledge and information. When packages are placed in an overpack, such as a shipping bag, the text Biological Substance, Category B, and Square on Point UN 3373 marking, and when marked on the package, emergency response information must be either clearly visible or reproduced on the outside of the overpack. Clear instructions on filling and closing of packaging used to transport Category B infectious substances must be provided by the packaging manufacturer and subsequent distributors to the consignor or person who prepares the package to enable the package to be correctly prepared for transport. Here we see 3 types of examples of how you may find closure instructions. They may be located on your purchase invoice for the packaging or as a separate sheet of paper. They could be printed on the packaging or embossed. A copy or electronic image of these instructions must be retained by the manufacturer and subsequent distributors for at least 1 year from the date of the issuance and made available for inspection by a federal or state government representative upon request. Packagings must be filled and closed in accordance with the information provided by the packaging manufacturer or subsequent distributor. Lastly, each person who offers or transports a Category B infectious substance must know about the requirements of 173.199 of the Hazardous Material Regulation. The Hazardous Material Regulation contains exceptions for Category B infectious substances that are based on maintaining a level of safety comparable to that provided for in the Hazardous Material Regulation. Please keep in mind that these were developed over time in consultation with other federal and international health and/or transportation agencies, industry, and the regulated public. Ultimately, the shipper has the responsibility to pursue any exceptions. The hotline you see here is attended during federal business hours, Monday to Friday. In off hours, you may leave a message and someone will return your call the next business day. You can obtain answers to hazardous material questions, request copies of Federal Register, special permits, or training materials, report a hazardous material regulation violation, or fax on demand. My name again is Liz Liddell, and you can find my contact information on this slide. Beneath my email address, you can find the states covered by my regional office. All of my peers around the country are listed here in case you find that your state is covered by another region. Please feel free to reach out to any one of us because we are the core group called the Hazardous Material Safety Assistance Team. Our main objective is to help you understand the 49 CFR as it relates to the shipment of hazardous material in transportation. Thank you for listening to this presentation. We will now start the Q&A portion of this webinar. We have representatives from PHMSA ready to answer your questions. If you have any questions, Please use the chat box to type your question or raise your hand using the hand icon in the bar on your screen, and we will call on you to unmute and ask your question. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to our facilitator today to ask or call in the first question.